They called her just the cook. Every morning while others ran drills or loaded trucks, she tied her apron and walked quietly to the kitchen. Her boots were clean, her uniform plain, and her name tag half scratched. No one noticed when she entered, and no one waited for her to speak. But she listened. Every shout, every complaint, every whisper in the mess hall, she heard it all and said nothing. The young recruits joked about her. Some said she must have failed basic training. Others said she was just a charity case, someone the army kept around to feel kind. She probably burns toast, a tall boy once said, laughing with mashed potatoes in his mouth. But she didn't react. She just cleaned the table where he'd spilled his drink and moved on. What they didn't know was that she had arrived at the base in the back of a silent military truck. No introduction, no speech, just a single sheet of paper handed to the base commander, who read it, blinked once, and nodded. Put her in food service, he said, and that was that. Her name was Ava. No one asked for her last name. It wasn't on the form. That afternoon was hot, and the sun baked the steel roof of the mess hall. The air smelled of sweat and stew. Ava was slicing carrots with the kind of focus soldiers use during marksmanship training. Clean slices, fast. Each piece the same size. No wasted motion. Her hands moved with rhythm, like she had done this 1,000 times before. Private Jules, a clumsy but kind-hearted recruit, walked in holding a tray and nearly dropped it when he saw her slicing. "Whoa," he muttered. "You're fast." Ava looked up, not smiling, not annoyed. "Sharp knife," she said simply. Jules nodded awkwardly and stepped aside. 10 minutes later, a loud thud echoed through the hall. A tray crashed to the ground. Screams. Chairs scraped. A soldier, Private Harris, had collapsed near the condiment station, clutching his chest. Gasping chaos followed. Soldiers froze. Some shouted, others tried to lift him, but none knew what to do. Ava didn't move at first. Then, without rushing, she set her knife down, wiped her hands, and walked straight to Harris. She knelt beside him, fingers on his pulse, eyes calm. "He's choking," someone said. "No, he's not," she replied. "What?" "But he's not breathing." Someone else stammered. Ava rolled Harris gently, placed 2 fingers below his collarbone, and pressed. 1, 2, 3 sharp movements. Harris coughed violently. A piece of food flew out. His eyes widened as breath returned. Ava helped him sit. "He's okay now," she said quietly. The medic arrived breathless, kneeled beside her, and blinked. "What did you just do?" "Subclavian blockage. Cleared it," she answered, standing up and walking back to her carrots like nothing had happened. The entire mess hall fell silent. That night, the medic filled out an unusual report. He mentioned techniques not taught in standard training. He added, she knew pressure points used in advanced combat rescue. This isn't something a cook should know. The next morning, Ava was again slicing vegetables. The same rhythm. Same quiet, but eyes followed her now. Whispers followed her too, in the officers' quarters. The base commander reread Ava's original assignment note. It was strange. No rank, no background. Just a short sentence in bold. No questions. "Keep her active," observed. The commander frowned and made a call. Across the base, a drill sergeant named Kerr stormed into the barracks, barking orders, as always. His eyes landed on a new recruit trembling at the end of the line. "Peterson, just 19, soft-spoken." "Scared you think this is a playground, Peterson," Kerr shouted, nose inches from the recruit's face. "No, sir," Peterson replied, shaking. Kerr leaned closer. "Then why are your boots filthy? Why is your bunk a mess?" I cleaned it, sir." You calling me a liar?" The other recruits stood frozen. Then Ava walked in with a mop and bucket. "Cleaning duty." She glanced at the scene but didn't stop moving. Kerr turned. "What are you looking at, cook?" Ava's voice was quiet. "He cleaned it?" "I saw." Kerr's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me, I saw him clean it. I checked it myself." "You're interrupting training." "No, I'm correcting a mistake." A pause. The air tightened. Kerr took a step toward her. "Listen, lady, I don't care what you do in the kitchen. You don't step into my drills." Ava met his eyes. "Calm. Then maybe you shouldn't drill in the cleaning zone." Gasps. Recruits looked around in disbelief. Kerr's jaw tightened. "Do you want to be reassigned?" "No. I'm already where I need to be." Kerr didn't respond. He stared. Then, to everyone's shock, he turned and walked away. The recruits didn't move. Peterson's eyes widened. Ava finished her mopping, then left. Later that evening, Peterson found her near the storage room. "Thank you," he whispered. Ava nodded but said nothing. Elsewhere, Sergeant Kerr sat in the commander's office, face pale. She looked right through me. "Sir, I don't get rattled, but there's something about her." The commander tapped his desk. "You're not the first to say that." That night, someone checked the camera footage of the incident. In the barracks, they watched Ava step in, speak without raising her voice, and stop a seasoned sergeant in his tracks. The footage was quietly sent to a higher office. 2 days later, a classified file was opened by the general at Regional Command. It had no name, just a symbol, a triangle with a missing point. Inside were only 3 words: active, observe, wait. The general scrolled through blurry photos. One showed a woman in desert gear, face covered, crouched beside a burning convoy. Another showed her lifting a wounded soldier. A third her standing over a downed enemy with a knife. Then another photo, her face, no helmet. No doubt. He sat back, stunned. At the base, Ava stood in the mess hall again. The tall boy who had mocked her before approached slowly. Hey, sorry about what I said. Thought you burned toast. That was stupid. She glanced at him. I don't burn toast. He smiled nervously. Right? He walked away, shaking his head. That afternoon, the base held a casual obstacle course for training. Ava wasn't on the roster, but when a rope snapped and a recruit dangled midair, she ran in, climbed the frame like she was born for it, and caught the falling recruit mid-drop. The soldiers were speechless. How did she move that fast? Later that night, while others rested, she sat alone polishing a small metal tag, not a dog tag, a different kind of tag. Worn, scratched, it had numbers, ones that didn't match any known system. She looked at it long, then placed it back in her pocket. In the surveillance room, someone zoomed in on that moment, paused the video. Enhanced. The tag matched a classified artifact last seen 5 years ago in a failed covert mission. The analyst swallowed hard and picked up the phone the next morning. The commander received a short call. Do not engage. Keep her on base. All logs silent. He hung up and looked outside. Ava was walking by, quiet as always. Later that day, she was cleaning near the weapons bay. A young soldier dropped his rifle. The safety failed. The weapon fired straight at a group of recruits. Before anyone could blink, Ava pushed 2 soldiers down and stepped in front of the bullet's path. The bullet missed, but just barely. The recruits stared at her in awe. Why? Why did you do that? One stammered. I knew it wouldn't hit me, she said. Oh, I've been in worse. She walked away, leaving everyone speechless. That night, Jules, the clumsy recruit, found her outside watching the stars. Who are you, really? He asked gently. She didn't answer, just kept looking up. You saved Harris. You shut down Kerr. You caught Davis Midair. You dodged a bullet. That's not a cook. Ava looked at him. Her eyes, calm and distant, held a strange sadness. I used to be someone else, she said finally. Can you tell me? Not yet. Jules nodded. Okay. He stood, walked away. Inside the commander's office, the phone rang again. This time, the voice said, prepare. The general is coming in person. The commander stood up slowly. Understood. As night fell, Ava returned to her quarters. She opened a small box under her bed. Inside was a folded letter, never sent. She read it again. Brother, they erased me. I am a ghost now, but I'm still here, still watching, still waiting. If you ever read this, know that I never stopped fighting. She folded it back, placed it gently inside. Outside, the sound of helicopters began to grow, and somewhere deep in the base's walls, a hidden door unlocked for the first time in years. The air buzzed with tension the next morning. Soldiers whispered more than usual. Even the mess hall, usually filled with loud jokes and metal trays clanging, had an odd silence. Ava stood behind the counter, ladling soup with steady hands. Her face gave nothing away, but her eyes, they watched everything. No movement missed her notice, no sound escaped her ears. Jules was the only one who dared speak to her that day. Did you hear? The general's coming today. Ava didn't react. He's never come here before, not unless something big happens, like a war. Still, she didn't look at him. I wonder why now, he continued. After everything you should eat, she said quietly. You'll need the energy. Jules looked puzzled but obeyed. By noon, the base commander stood stiff at the gate as the helicopter landed. Dust blew in circles, and the sound of the blades drowned out all thought. The general stepped out slowly, tall and firm. His uniform was clean, but his eyes were tired. He shook no hands. He didn't speak to the officers, lined up to greet him. Instead, he walked straight toward the command building, where a secure room waited. Inside, files lay spread on the table. Photos, reports, footage. Ava's face, circled in red. Notes scribbled in the margins. Confirmed pressure point technique. Used only in recon meta-ops. Suspected background in an active Omega-7 unit. Present on site during failed Operation Daggerfall. The general didn't sit. Has she said anything? No, sir, the commander replied. Nothing useful. What does she do all day? Cooks, cleans, observes, has been. Anyone approached her, 1 or 2 recruits. She doesn't say much, but she reacts fast. Very fast. The general's fingers tightened. Omega-7 was terminated 5 years ago. Burned clean. No survivors. The commander hesitated. Sir, if she's a ghost from that unit, then we failed to burn it clean. The general nodded slowly. That makes her dangerous. Across the base, Ava stood in the cold storage room, arranging supplies, but her hands weren't on autopilot today. Her breathing was slower. She could feel the presence of someone new, someone powerful, someone from her past. She closed her eyes. For just a second, the walls of the storage room faded, replaced by burning sand, distant gunfire, and the sound of a voice yelling her name. The voice was gone now, buried, just like her name. Later that afternoon, the general requested to walk the base grounds. No guards, no noise, just him and the wind. But as he approached the mess hall, he paused. Inside, she was slicing onions. Still, calm, like he wasn't even real. He stepped in slowly. You remember me? He asked. She didn't stop slicing. I remember too many things. You don't salute, he asked. You're not my general, she said. He stared at her. You're Ava, that's what they call me now, but that's not your name. No, she agreed. It's not. He walked closer, studying her hands. You saved a soldier using advanced technique. You stopped a drill sergeant without raising your voice. You caught a recruit from a 6-meter drop and shielded another from a weapon misfire. You know what that tells me? She paused her slicing. What? That you never stopped being a soldier? You're wrong, she said softly. I stopped the day you left us behind. The general's face twitched. That mission failed. We had no extraction window. You had a choice, she said, looking straight at him now. You chose silence. You think I wanted that? You let us rot? You think I forgot? He said sharply. I buried 12 men with my own hands. I watched them burn so the world wouldn't know what we did. Her voice cracked. And what did we do? We stopped a war and started another inside us. She whispered. He sighed, rubbing his face. You were the only one unaccounted for. We searched. We thought you were dead. I was, she said, for a while. Then why hide? Because ghosts don't belong among the living. You're not a ghost, aren't I? She asked. I have no record, no badge, no name. Just an apron and a quiet corner. I didn't erase you. You didn't stop them either. There was silence between them for a long moment. Only the sound of her knife moving again. Soft, sharp, precise. Why come now? She asked finally. You knew I was here weeks ago. Because we're in danger, he said. A file leaked. Names. Missions? One of them includes Operation Daggerfall. If your face ends up on that list, they'll come for me, she finished. Yes, and they won't ask questions. She nodded slowly. So you came to warn me. I came to protect you. She let out a bitter laugh. Now you protect me. I'm trying to make it right? You can't. Then let me do something, he said. Tell me what happened after Daggerfall. Where did you go? Into the dirt? She replied. I crawled through 3 miles of desert with a bullet in my side. I drank rain from my boot. I buried my own unit leader and cut off my dog tags so scavengers wouldn't find them. I made it to the border disguised as a refugee. I changed my name. I disappeared. Why not come back? To what? A flag that forgot me? A country that covered its tracks? He couldn't answer. She didn't expect him to. That evening, the base was put on alert. Unmarked drones had been spotted near the perimeter. Security tightened. Guards doubled. But Ava remained in the kitchen. She didn't panic. She didn't pack. She simply cleaned the same spoon 3 times, lost in thought. Jules came to her with wide eyes. You heard about the drones? She nodded. What should we do? Stay calm? They think someone important is here, he said. Maybe the general. She looked at him slowly. Or maybe someone else. Oh, he asked. She said nothing. Ava, who are you really? Someone who used to believe in orders, she replied. Now I believe in silence. That night, as most soldiers slept in shifts, Ava stood outside near the edge of the base. No lights, no noise. Just the cold and wind. She sensed movement. A shadow flickered. She turned. A figure stepped out, tall, lean, eyes hidden behind goggles. You don't belong here, the man said. Neither do you, she replied. He smiled faintly. They still talk about you. They stopped, but you're still alive. That makes you a threat. To who? To the truth. A beat passed. Then without warning, he lunged. She ducked, swept his leg, flipped him over. He rolled fast, grabbed a knife, slashed. She dodged, kicked, disarmed. 10 seconds. He was on the ground, breathless. She stood above him. Tell them, I'm not afraid. They already know, he gasped. She knocked him out cold, dragged his body to the commander's office, put him in a black cell. No report. The commander nodded silently. He didn't dare ask questions anymore. The general stood behind her. You could have killed him. Not yet. Why spare him? To send a message? You think they'll stop? No, she said. I think this is just the beginning. Then we need to move you. No, she said. I'm staying. Why? Because they're watching me, she said. Let them. They'll come. But I won't run this time. You'll be alone. I've always been alone. You'll be hunted. I've always been hunted. Then what do you want? He asked. To finish what they tried to erase, she whispered. The general nodded. He stepped closer, reached into his coat, handed her a folder. It's all in here. The ones who pulled the strings. The ones who sent us to die. Their names, their locations. Ava stared at the folder. Why give this to me? Because I don't trust anyone else. She took the folder, opened it, eyes scanning. Fast her fingers tightened. One name made her freeze. He's alive. Yes, the general said. Living free, clean, rich. He gave the final order, she whispered. He said we were expendable. You're not expendable anymore, the general said. She closed the folder. I'm going after him. As dawn broke, Ava stood by the flagpole, watching the sun rise over the base. Her apron was gone. Her boots were laced tight, and for the first time in years, she wore a patch on her sleeve, torn, faded, but real. the symbol of Omega-7, a unit that no longer existed, except for her. Behind her, soldiers stared in silence. Some recognized the symbol, some didn't, but all of them felt it, that shift in the air, that pull in their chest. Something was coming, and she was at the center of it. The commander whispered to the general, "What now?" The general's reply was soft but firm, "Now we follow her." The base felt different after dawn, not louder, not busier, just heavier, as if every step left a deeper print on the ground. Soldiers moved quickly, but avoided eye contact. Some whispered, others watched from a distance. Everyone had seen her in front of the flagpole, no longer wearing her kitchen apron. Now she wore something different, a patch, a symbol no one had seen in years. Most didn't recognize it. Those who did, stayed quiet. She walked to the armory alone. The guard stepped aside without asking. He had no idea why. Maybe it was the way she walked. Maybe it was the way the general stood in silence as she passed by. She selected a basic sidearm, checked the barrel, loaded it with calm, practiced hands. Then she placed it back on the counter. "I don't need it yet," she said. The armory officer stared at her like she was a ghost. "Ma'am, are you really from Omega-7? She didn't answer. She just looked at him. That was enough. But word traveled fast. By lunchtime, most of the base knew something was happening. The woman they had ignored, mocked, dismissed, wasn't just a cook. She was someone else, someone dangerous, someone important, and she was preparing for something. No one knew what. Inside the command office, the general stood before a board covered in maps and names. He looked older than yesterday. The truth had waited, aged a man. "They'll come soon," he said quietly. "They already did," the commander replied. "That man last night was just the first." "A warning," the general muttered, "or a test. Do we send her away? She won't go. Then what do we do? We hold the line." The commander hesitated. "With all due respect, sir, she's not even officially on our base records." "That's exactly why she matters," the general said. "She's the only one they didn't erase." Ava stood on the training grounds, watching recruits climb ropes and fall into mud. Sergeant Kerr spotted her and stiffened. He remembered that day how she had stopped him with a single sentence, how she had taken control without yelling, without threats, just calm truth. He walked over, slower than usual. "You looking to run drills?" he asked. "No," she replied. "Just watching. We got space. You can show the kids how it's done." They wouldn't keep up. He looked at her for a moment, unsure whether it was pride or warning in her voice. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "For before, you were doing your job," she said, "but I wasn't doing mine." He nodded and walked away. An hour later, Ava sat alone at the edge of the field, cleaning mud from her boots. Jules sat beside her, offering her a bottle of water. She took it without a word. "So, you were part of some secret team, huh?" he said. She didn't answer. "They say you were in Operation Daggerfall. My uncle was in that region. He always said something happened that never made the news." Ava looked straight ahead. "A lot happened, but you survived. Survival isn't always a gift. Why not? Because the ones who died don't have to carry what I remember." Jules nodded slowly. "Do you regret it?" "No," she said. "But I regret being the only one left." Inside the comms room, a secure signal came through. A single line, "Asset located. Activate protocol gray." The tech officer frowned. "Sir, this isn't one of ours." The commander stepped forward, read the message. His blood ran cold. "It's them." By evening, the general gathered a small team. Ava stood at the center. Maps laid out, red circles, timelines. "We traced the last drone to a satellite channel registered under a fake company." The general explained, "But that company is linked to the same network that funded Daggerfall." Ava's eyes narrowed. "So they're still watching, and they've got eyes everywhere. I need to know what they're after now." She pointed at a mark on the map. "This bunker, it holds the archived tapes, mission logs. If they retrieve it before we wipe it, they'll have proof. And if we wipe it, then the dead stay buried." The general paused. "Are you sure? They don't deserve to be remembered in a lie." Jules volunteered to go with her. So did Peterson, the rookie she once defended. She shook her head. "I work alone." "But you don't have to," Jules insisted. "We owe you." "You owe me nothing," she replied. "You didn't abandon me." They did. That night, she walked to the old West storage tunnel. It had been sealed for years, but she knew how to open it. Inside were crates covered in dust, walls with fading symbols, and silence so deep it hummed. She walked to the final room, opened a cabinet, and found it her original uniform, torn, blood-stained, but hers. She touched the sleeve gently, then reached into the pocket. A single photo. Her unit, laughing. All 12 of them. Gone. She sat on the floor and stared at it. Then she whispered each of their names, one by one, slowly, as if bringing them back to life, even for a second. The next day, the base woke to alarm sirens. Unauthorized access, multiple areas. The general rushed to command. "What happened?" "They're inside." Someone yelled. "How?" "We don't know. No entry record, no motion detection." "Where are they now?" "South corridor, near the archive room." "Where's Ava?" "Already there," someone said. "Alone." The camera feed flickered. Ava moved through the hallway like smoke. Silent, fast. 2 men in black stood guard outside the archive door. She didn't hesitate. She slid behind them, struck the first in the neck, the second in the leg. Clean, precise. The door opened. Inside, a third man was uploading data. Stop, she said. He turned. You're dead. Not yet. He fired. She dodged, disarmed, twisted his arm back, and slammed him into the server rack. Sparks flew. He groaned. You were never supposed to survive, he hissed. I did, she said. And now you answer for it. He smiled through blood. You're too late. Am I? She asked, pulling the hard drive. I know what you're after, and I just destroyed it. They'll keep coming, he whispered. Then I'll keep ending them. She left him there, alive but broken. When she returned to the command center, the general looked at her with tired eyes. That was fast. I've done this before, she replied. We've locked down the base now, the commander said. But we can't stop them forever. You won't have to, Ava said. I'm leaving. Where? Jules asked. To finish this. Outside. Alone again. I was never supposed to be here, she said. They let me live. Once. That was their mistake. She walked toward the exit, her steps slow but sure. At the gate, she stopped. Turned to face the base one last time. They buried us, she said softly. But roots grow in darkness. No one knew what that meant, but everyone felt it, and in that silence, not one soul dared stop her. The rain started before sunrise. It wasn't heavy, just enough to make the dust turn to soft mud and the wind carry a cold, forgotten feeling across the ground. At the edge of the base, Ava stood still, wearing a worn-out jacket, a plain black backpack slung across her shoulder. She hadn't said goodbye. She never would. She just walked out the gate alone and disappeared into the morning mist. Jules stood on top of the watchtower with binoculars in his hand. He watched her until she became nothing but a shadow in the rain. Then he whispered, "Come back, please." No one heard him. Back in the command center, the general sat before a screen, staring at the map. A red dot blinked in the corner, tracking a small signal, the last known location of Ava. She doesn't want us to follow, the commander said beside him. We're not following, the general replied. We're protecting from a distance, 200 miles away. In an abandoned motel room, Ava sat on the floor with the lights off. The room smelled of mold and old paint. She didn't care. She laid out the folder the general had given her. Each page was a scar. Names, faces, dates, all tied to Operation Daggerfall, all tied to the lie that had erased her life. One photo caught her eye. A man in a clean white shirt, older now, gray hair, gold watch, soft smile. But Ava remembered him differently. In a tent, under a red light, hands stained with oil. Voice low, "Pull back, all of you. You're on your own now." His name was Darian Locke. He was the one who signed the order that got them all killed. She stared at his photo for a long time. Then she burned it. At a nearby diner, she sat alone drinking black coffee. A waitress offered her sugar. Ava shook her head. You from around here? The woman asked. I used to be, Ava said. Looking for family? Something like that. The waitress smiled gently. Hope you find them. Ava looked down at her cup. So do I. By evening, Ava reached a quiet town nestled between two hills. Small, quiet. She walked through the marketplace unnoticed. Just another traveler in worn boots. But she wasn't shopping. She was watching, studying, and then she saw it too. Men in black jackets, standing by a newsstand, pretending to read. One of them glanced at her too long, too trained. She walked past them without changing her pace. Her reflection in the window caught their movement. They followed. She turned left into a narrow alley. No exit. A trap. She stopped. Let them come. Closer. 10 steps. 5. Then she moved. Swift, silent. One elbow to the throat. A sweep, a knee to the chest. The first man dropped. The second drew a blade. She caught his arm, twisted, slammed him into the wall. Who sent you? She asked. He spat. You're supposed to be dead. Get used to disappointment, she replied. Then knocked him out. She took their phones. No messages. Just a single location tag. Lock Tower. Her pulse slowed. She had a target now. That night, Ava broke into a small storage unit in the outskirts. Inside were old boxes she had buried years ago. Weapons, documents, a flash drive hidden in a coffee tin. She plugged it into a battered laptop. The screen blinked, then opened a single video file. Her face appeared on screen, 5 years younger, bloodied, gasping. This is Ava Torres, she said into the camera. Omega 7 has been abandoned. No extraction, no backup. We're 12 kilometers from the evac point. Requesting immediate retrieval. Enemy forces incoming. We've lost Carter, Min, and Dev already. If this message gets out, please don't let this happen again. She closed the laptop. It had happened again. The next day she walked into Lock Tower dressed like a courier. Black cap, ID badge, small box in hand. No one questioned her. The lobby was full of polished shoes and cold stares. She stepped into the elevator. Floor 23. Locke's floor. As the doors opened, 2 guards stepped forward. Delivery. Yes, she said. Need signature? They nodded and stepped back. She approached the receptionist. For Mr. Locke, the woman smiled. He's in a meeting. Leave it on the desk. Ava didn't move. It's personal. Sorry, he doesn't take drop-ins. He will take this, Ava said. Then she pulled out the flash drive and placed it on the desk. Give him that? Tell him the ghosts are watching. She turned and left. 5 minutes later, inside the office, Locke stared at the screen. The video played. Ava's face, the past he had buried. His hand shook as he paused the footage. How did she, sir? The guard said over the intercom. Someone is outside again. Send them away. She's just standing there. What? Not moving? Just staring at the building. Locke rushed to the window. 23 floors below. Ava stood still, eyes locked on the glass. Rain falling around her like time had stopped. He couldn't breathe. He stepped back. Get rid of her, he ordered. But when they reached the street, she was gone. That night, Locke didn't sleep. Ava traveled again. South this time, to a private airstrip once used for covert missions. It was shut down now, but one hangar still had power. She used an old access code. The door creaked open. Inside were relics from the past. Weapons, gear, photos of her team. She walked to a locker. Her locker, the nameplate was scratched out. Inside was a letter. She opened it with shaking hands. It was from her unit leader, dated 2 days before Daggerfall. Ava, if you're reading this, it means they lied to us. Again, don't trust the higher-ups. If things go wrong, don't try to be a hero. Survive. That's all I ask. Survive. And someday, speak for us. She folded the letter and placed it in her pocket. She would speak, even if it killed her. 3 days later, Locke held a press conference in the city. Big stage, cameras, journalists. It was a launch for some new tech venture. But halfway through his speech, a phone rang. His own unknown number. He paused. Answered, a voice said, "Look behind you." He turned at the back of the hall. Ava stood in the shadows, not moving, not hiding. She didn't have a gun. She didn't need one. Security rushed toward her. She disappeared into the crowd. The video went viral. Who is this woman? Headlines asked, why did Locke run off stage? He couldn't hide now. Ava had forced the world to ask the question, and questions lead to answers. Back at the base, Jules watched the video 10 times. That's her, he whispered. She's not running anymore? The general nodded. No, now, she's hunting. Rain had returned again, this time heavier. Ava stood under a broken roof outside a train station. Her clothes were soaked, but she didn't care. In her hand was a printed photo, blurry, zoomed from a security feed. It showed a young soldier talking to Locke outside a government building. The man wore no name tag, just a mark on his sleeve, a symbol she hadn't seen in years. The mark of Unit 9. Unit 9 was supposed to be shut down. She folded the photo and walked toward the train. The station was nearly empty. A few workers in orange vests, a sleeping man with a dog, a mother with a crying baby. No one noticed Ava. That's how she liked it. Blending in was her survival. Inside the train, she sat in a corner seat and placed her bag on her lap. As the train moved, her thoughts did too backwards. To the last day, she saw her brother Nico. Nico wasn't military. He was an artist. He painted the war, not the glory, but the pain. He once told her, truth doesn't need guns, Ava. Needs eyes brave enough to see. And when she disappeared after Daggerfall, he looked for her. He asked too many questions. And one day, he vanished. Just like that. For years, she believed he was dead. But the photo changed everything. The soldier in the image looked like him. Older, yes, bulkier, but the same jaw, same scar near the eyebrow. She needed answers, and there was only one place she could go, a hidden facility known as Base Morrow. Officially, it didn't exist. Unofficially, it was where soldiers were turned into shadows. The train ride ended at a town called El Ridge, a place Ava once helped clear during an old mission. She knew every alley, every rooftop, every hiding spot. She exited the station and followed a dirt path behind a closed warehouse. At the end of it stood a mechanic's garage with a rusted door. She knocked 3 times, paused, then twice again. The door opened a crack. A small woman with oil on her face peered out. "I thought you were dead," she said. "Not yet," Ava replied. Her name was Cass, a tech genius, quiet, angry, loyal only to truth. She had once saved Ava from a burning jeep and left the army the next day. "You were stupid to come back," Cass said. "I'm not back," Ava said. "I'm cleaning up." Cass let her in. They walked past rows of broken engines to a small back room with computers. Ava placed the photo on the desk. "I need to find him." Cass looked at it. "This isn't proof." "It's enough." Cass sighed. "You know what Base Morrow is, right?" "I helped bury it," Ava said, "and now I'm digging it up." Cass scanned the image, ran it through filters, then cross-referenced faces. "It'll take time," she said. Ava waited. An hour passed. Then Cass sat back slowly. "You're not going to like this," she whispered. "What?" "The man in the photo. He's alive, and his name is Nico Torres." Ava's hands trembled. "Where is he?" Cass hesitated. "He's stationed inside Morrow, assigned to Section B. No outside access, no communication logs. As far as the world is concerned, he's nobody." Ava stared at the screen. "Can you get me in?" Cass looked at her. "That place eats people. Ava, you walk in, you don't walk out." "I have to." Cass nodded. "Then we'll need help." That night, they drove deep into the hills to find someone Ava swore she'd never face again. Damian Rusk, former leader of Unit 6, the man who once loved her, the man who left her behind when it mattered most. They found him in a rundown cabin fixing a radio. His beard was longer, his eyes colder. When he saw Ava, he didn't speak, just stared. "I'm not here to fight," she said. "Then leave." He replied, "Nico's alive." He froze. Slowly he turned. "What did you say?" "He's alive. In Morrow, I need your help." He shook his head. "You're chasing ghosts." She stepped closer. "Help me bring one back." He stared at her, then nodded once. "I'll regret this," he muttered. The next morning, they hiked for hours to a cliffside overlooking Morrow. From there they studied the layout, watchtowers, drones, guards. Cass drew sketches. "We'll need a distraction. And an exit plan," she said. Ava pointed to a service tunnel near the south wall. "That's our way in." At midnight, the plan began. Cass hacked the drone system to trigger a false fire alert. Rusk cut power lines near the entrance. Ava slipped into the tunnel with her pack and a tracker clipped to her belt. Inside the tunnel was damp, filled with spiders and silence. She moved fast, counting every second. When she reached the inner gate, she waited for the power to flicker, then jumped the fence, rolled into a shadow, and vanished between two concrete walls. The base smelled of metal and bleach. She passed by several doors before reaching Section B. She peeked through a small glass window, and her heart stopped. There he was, Nico. Alive, in uniform, sitting alone, sketching something on paper. She tapped the glass softly. He looked up and dropped his pencil. His eyes widened. "Ava." She placed her hand on the glass. He rushed to the door. "How are you here? They said you were." "No time," she whispered. "We have to go." He looked over his shoulder. "They watch everything." "I cut the feeds for 8 minutes," she said. "We don't get a second chance." He stepped back. I can't leave." "Why?" "They did something to me. Tests. Injections. I'm not the same." She looked at him closely. There was something off. His hands shook. His pupils were uneven. She placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're still my brother." He nodded slowly. "Then let's go." They ran through the hall, ducked into the tunnel, crawled back into the dark. Halfway out, alarms blared. Cass screamed into the coms. They found the breach. Ava pushed Nico forward. "Go." They climbed the exit shaft. As they emerged into the trees, searchlights lit the sky. Rusk fired back at chasing guards, covering their escape. Gunfire echoed through the hills. They didn't stop, not until they reached the safe cabin 2 hours later. Inside, Nico collapsed. He looked pale, dizzy. "They did something," he whispered again. "They injected me every week. They said it was for strength, but I hear things now. I dream of fire." Ava sat beside him, holding his hand. "You're safe now," she said, but her eyes were full of fear. Cass handed her a file. "I found something while you were gone. Records from Moreau. They weren't just training him, they were building him. Project Seraphim." "What's that?" Cass hesitated. "A program to create emotionless soldiers. Mind control? Obedience chips. If he's part of it, they'll come for him." Ava looked at her brother. He had tears in his eyes. "I don't know who I am anymore," he said. "You're Nico," Ava whispered. "My brother? That's enough." But outside, in the darkness, someone was already watching them. A single red light blinked behind a tree, a tractor, planted on Ava's belt. They had followed her, they knew, and they were coming. Ava didn't sleep that night. She sat by the cabin window, eyes on the trees, heart pounding. Cass was downstairs checking the power lines, and Rusk had fallen asleep on a chair with a gun across his chest. But Ava couldn't close her eyes. With Nico breathing unevenly in the next room, not with the tracker confirmed on her belt, how had she missed it? She reached into her bag, pulled out the small metal clip they used for tracking, and crushed it under her boot. But the damage was done. "They know where we are," she whispered to herself. She checked on Nico. He was asleep, but his body twitched. Sweat covered his forehead. Suddenly, his eyes opened wide. "Ava," he gasped. "They're here." Ava spun around, heart freezing. "What did you see?" "I don't know." "A man, tall, silver badge, red eyes." Ava stared. "Red eyes." Nico nodded. "Not real eyes, not human, like machines." Ava turned and ran downstairs. Cass was already at the monitors. "I picked up movement 5 clicks east, not wildlife." "How many?" "Too many," Cass said. "But one is closer than the rest. A scout." Ava turned to Rusk. "Wake up, we're leaving." But Rusk didn't move. Ava walked to him and froze. His eyes were open, but he wasn't blinking. A small dart was stuck to his neck. "No!" shouted. Cass rushed over. "What? Oh my God!" Rusk's pulse was faint. His lips were blue. "He's alive," Cass said. "Barely, but poisoned," quietly from inside. Ava grabbed a medkit, injected him with a neutralizer. "If they can poison us without a sound, they're too close," Cass whispered. "It's already begun." They packed in 5 minutes. Nico stumbled out of the room, looking lost. "Where's Damien?" "He'll be fine," Ava lied. They left him in Cass's care, then slipped into the woods. Ava led Nico through the dark trees, following an old trail they once used during a recon mission years ago. Every step felt louder than it should. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the trees. Ava Torres. You've been warned. It wasn't human. The voice was cold. Mechanical. Ava pushed Nico behind a tree. From the shadows emerged a man, or something close to one. He wore a black uniform with no insignia. His eyes glowed faint red in the dark. You are protecting stolen property, he said. He's my brother? Ava shouted. The figure tilted its head. He is not your brother anymore. He belongs to the Seraphim Initiative. Nico stepped forward. I belong to no one. The figure raised his hand and fired. Ava tackled Nico just in time. The blast missed them and hit a tree, exploding it in sparks. They rolled down a hill. Into the mud. Ava pulled her knife, but the figure didn't chase. Instead, he walked calmly to the edge of the hill and stared. Then he spoke again. Tell General Cade the test was a success. He vanished into the trees. Ava stood slowly, blood on her forehead. General Cade? She whispered. Nico looked at her. He's still alive. Worse, she said. He's leading this. Cass found them an hour later. We need shelter, she said. Rusk's breathing is shallow. He can't be moved anymore. They returned to a bunker Cass had built years ago, deep underground. Inside it was cold, damp, but hidden. Nico sat on a metal bed, breathing heavily. Ava crouched beside him. Do you remember anything they did to you? He looked away. Sometimes I see flashes, labs wires pain, and then, Cade. Ava froze. You saw Cade? Nico nodded. He looked straight into my eyes and said, you're not your sister's burden anymore. Ava felt tears burning. I thought I left that monster behind. Cass walked in with a box. Found this in the records I hacked. Cade filed a report called Control Protocol 17. It mentions something terrifying. What if Seraphim units show signs of rebellion? They can be triggered remotely. Their bodies will shut down from the inside. Nico stood. They planted a kill switch. Cass nodded. Yes, and yours might be active. Ava looked at Nico. You're not going to die. I won't let them. Nico sat back down, quiet. But inside, Ava's heart was breaking. Suddenly, Cass's radio crackled. Incoming transmission. Priority 1. They all gathered around the speaker. A voice spoke. It was Cade. Ava Torres. You were always difficult. I should have buried you at Daggerfall, but I left you alive, thinking guilt would kill you faster than bullets. I was wrong. A pause. Bring me the Seraphim, or your past dies. Slowly. Then silence. Cass's face turned pale. What does he mean? Ava's hand shook. She opened her bagand, pulled out an old photo, her unit from 10 years ago. 11 faces, only 3 were still alive. Cass, Rusk, herself. I think he means he found them, Cass whispered. They're hunting survivors. Ava clenched her fists. No more running. We fight? Cass asked. No, Ava said. We reveal. What do you mean? We expose them. The truth. The labs, the tests, the soldiers, they broke. The ones they killed. We bring it to the world. But Cade owns the media, Cass said. Not all of it, Ava replied. She turned to Nico. You once said truth needs brave eyes. You ready to show the world what they did to you? Nico hesitated, then he nodded. Cass began preparing files. Data, photos, maps. Ava recorded a message. She looked into the camera and spoke slowly. My name is Ava Torres. I was part of a classified unit the world forgot. I was betrayed. My team was erased. And now, they are turning soldiers into machines. My brother is proof. They will come for him, but we will not hide anymore. If this message reaches you, know the war has already begun. She hit send. The file went live. Within hours, underground networks picked it up. And so did Cade. His voice came again. Clever girl. Now watch what cleverness costs. A live video feed opened. A man was tied to a chair, bloodied, bruised. It was Eli, her old squad mate. Cade walked into frame. He smiled and pressed a button. Eli screamed and went still. The screen went black. Ava stared at it, frozen. Then she stood. This ends now. Cass whispered. What's the plan? We go to the place it started, Ava said. We go to Black Ridge. Cass gasped. That base was sealed. I know, but Cade is still using it. And what do we do there? We burn it to the ground, but outside, in the snow, a helicopter landed, and inside it, a new Seraphim soldier stepped out, taller and stronger, wearing a tag that said, Unique Omega Target, Ava Torres. Snow hit the glass of the underground bunker in soft, tapping rhythms, like time ticking down. Ava stared at the screen. The Seraphim labeled Omega had stepped out of the helicopter with unnatural calm, eyes glowing faintly behind a helmet, shaped to intimidate. Even through the grainy footage, Ava knew this wasn't just another soldier. He's not here to warn, Cass whispered. He's here to finish. Nico looked at Ava, voice trembling. What is that thing? Ava didn't answer. Her breath was shallow. He's the final model, she said quietly. I heard whispers years ago. A prototype that made the rest of us obsolete. Built for silence, speed, strength, and no mercy. Rusk groaned in the corner, still too weak to stand. Cass pressed a hand on his shoulder. Ava turned to Nico. If he finds this place, he won't knock. Cass quickly pulled up surveillance from the tree lines. Dots lit up in a triangular pattern. He's not alone, she said. He's using drones to scan for us. They'll find the vent system if we don't block it. Ava grabbed her knife and nodded. I'm going up. You can't fight Omega, Cass snapped. Even you can't. I'm not fighting, Ava said. I'm distracting. Nico tried to stand. I'm going with no, she said firmly. They want you. You're the key. If you die, this war ends before it begins. Ava left through the secondary tunnel, exiting a mile north under a camouflaged tarp. The cold hit her face like a slap. Snow, wind, and silence. She moved between trees like a shadow until she spotted him. Omega stood still, scanning. His armor shimmered with built-in thermal plates. He looked like death, designed by a computer. Ava picked up a rock and threw it toward the opposite direction. It hit a branch. Omega turned. Move. She ran, fast and low, circling him. She needed to lead him away, far enough for Cass and Nico to escape, but he stopped suddenly and spoke. Ava Torres, third in command. 5 confirmed kills. Dishonorably discharged. Location, Daggerfall Ridge. Sentence, termination. She froze behind a tree he knew. He turned toward her direction. Your fear is measurable. He raised his hand. A red pulse shimmered in his palm, and then a gunshot. Cass. The bullet bounced off Omega's armor. He turned fast. Fired. Cass ducked and rolled. Ava screamed. No. Omega looked back toward Ava's voice. She ran. He followed. Trees blurred past her. Her breath was fire in her lungs. But she couldn't stop. Behind her the thudding steps grew. Louder. He was gaining. She jumped over a log and fell. Her ankle twisted hard. She rolled to her side. He was there. Towering. Silent. He raised his hand again and stopped. For a brief second, his eyes flickered. A glitch. Ava crawled backward. Do it. She dared him. Kill me. He stared. Then slowly, he lowered his hand. Ava blinked. What? He spoke again. Torres. Ava. Code phrase. Echo. Response. Alive. She stared in shock. That wasn't Omega. That was someone inside. Who are you? She gasped. The voice changed, slightly less mechanical. Help me. Omega staggered, shook his head, and then slammed his fist into a tree, breaking it in half. He turned and ran, vanished into the trees. Ava sat in the snow, heart racing. Was that a real person inside that armor? Back at the bunker, Nico felt it too, a ringing in his ears. A strange pull in his chest. Cass held his hand. You okay? I felt him, Nico whispered. The one they call Omega. I think I knew him. Is that possible? Cass asked. Nico looked down. They built me from someone. Maybe they built him too from the same blueprint. Ava limped back after an hour. Her face was pale, eyes shaken. He glitched, she said. He could have killed me, but something stopped him. They sat together in silence. Rusk coughed. Don't mean he's good, means he's breaking. And broken things are dangerous. Ava looked at Cass. Do we have anything left from the old Daggerfall files? Cass pulled out a drive. Yes, why? Because I think Omega was someone we knew. Nico sat up. What's his real name? Ava plugged in the drive. Screen after screen of data filled the air. Photos, names, files. Then they saw it. Project. Omega. Final subject. Corporal Reed Lawson. Nico gasped. That was my friend, before I escaped. Ava leaned closer. Lawson. He had saved her once, years ago. He's still in there, Ava whispered. Some part of him. Then we find him, Nico said, and we bring him back. Cass looked at them both. And if we can't. Ava's eyes hardened. Then we end his pain. But outside, Omega stood in front of a broken mirror inside a surveillance van. He stared at his reflection. For a brief moment, his eyes turned blue. Human, he whispered Ava, and then smashed the mirror. Back at the bunker, Cass got a ping. Incoming feed. A live stream. Cade again. This time, he wasn't alone. Behind him stood a group of soldiers, and one of them was Ava's old mentor, Captain Delaney. She was alive, and, standing beside Cade, Ava's mouth dropped open. No, not her. The feed went black. Ava didn't blink. She stared at the black screen like it might come alive again. Her breath was shallow, and her fingers tightened into fists. Cass was silent, her eyes wide. Nico looked between them. Who was that woman? He asked softly. Ava's voice cracked. Captain Eliza Delaney. She trained me. She taught me everything. And she died 6 years ago. Or at least, that's what I was told. Cass leaned forward. So Cade lied. Ava nodded slowly. Not just about her death, about everything. If Delaney's alive and standing next to him, she's not a prisoner. She's part of this. Nico swallowed hard. But, why would she turn? Ava's voice was bitter. Because she believed in victory at any cost, and I was always the cost. The bunker felt colder. Ava stood up suddenly and walked to the far wall, slamming her fist against the concrete. I buried her dog tags myself. I cried for her. And now she's just another ghost, they kept alive for their own war. Rusk groaned from the bed. War's not about heroes. It's about who writes the report at the end. Cass spoke gently. What do we do now? Ava stared at the flickering monitor. We find out where that broadcast came from, and then, I go alone. No, Nico said sharply. You're not going alone again. I trained under her, Ava replied. Smell a trap before you even breathe near her. I'm the only one who can get close. She could kill you, Cass warned. Ava's eyes didn't move from the screen. Then let her try. That night, Cass traced the signal from the broadcast. It had bounced through 4 different relay towers and ended near Black Ridge, a forgotten military research outpost buried deep in the northern mountains. It had been abandoned years ago or so, they were told. Ava loaded her gear quietly. She checked her weapon, tightened her boots, and tucked a small photo of her old squad into her vest. Cass tried once more. Please don't do this. I have to. She's not the woman you knew. I'm not the soldier she trained. Ava slipped into the snowstorm before dawn, using the back tunnel that opened far from the main roads. The journey was hard, ice cracked under her boots, and the wind nearly knocked her off the trail. But she moved forward. Hours passed before she saw it. Black Ridge. The facility looked like a skeleton of old war plants, gray concrete walls, rusted towers, and a frozen moat of silence. She slipped through the outer fence, crawled through a gap, and made her way toward the control tower. The place was half-lit. Someone was still using it. She reached the 2nd floor and found the surveillance room. The screens were on. One showed Cade giving a speech in another city. Another showed Omega pacing in a steel room. And then she saw her. Captain Delaney, sitting in a chair, sipping coffee, speaking to someone off camera. Her voice was calm, strong. Just as Ava remembered. I trained them well, Delaney said. Even the broken ones learn how to bleed with purpose. Ava felt her heart twist. She stepped forward, then stopped. A soft click echoed behind her, a gun pressed against her back. I was wondering when you'd show up. Delaney. Ava turned slowly. The woman had aged, but her eyes were still sharp. Her hair was tied back, uniform crisp. Hello, Ava, she said, still as stubborn as ever. You lied, Ava said, voice tight. You faked your death. You joined Cade. Why? Delaney lowered the gun. Because I saw the bigger picture. Cade is ruthless. Yes, but he's rebuilding order. You still think truth wins wars? Ava stared at her. I think lies kill people. Delaney smiled sadly. And you think the truth doesn't? Ava stepped forward. You were like a mother to me. I still am, Delaney said. That's why I'm giving you a choice. Walk away. I'll tell Cade you died. Take the boy. And vanish. You won't get this offer again. Ava's eyes filled with tears. You taught me to never walk away from what's right. I taught you to survive, Delaney said. And I'm still alive, Ava whispered. Delaney looked away. For the first time, her hands trembled. You think this is easy for me, she said softly. Do you know how many missions I sent? Young soldiers to their deaths, believing it was the only way to protect the country? Then stop, Ava begged. Help us. Delaney shook her head. It's too late for me. But not for you. Suddenly, alarms blared. Delaney's face changed. They're here. Who? Ava asked. Omega, Delaney replied. He escaped? Ava's heart sank. Where is he? Underground levels. He broke containment an hour ago. Why didn't you run? Delaney looked at her. Because he was mine too. Together, they ran toward the stairs. Red lights flashed. Voices shouted. Guards scrambled. Reached the containment doors. Inside, Omega was on his knees, gripping his head. Sparks flew from his helmet. He looked up. Saw Ava. And whispered, Echo. Alive. She stepped closer. It's me, she said gently. I remember you, Reed. You saved me once. Now let me save you. He twitched, glitched, growled. Too many voices, he said. Too many orders. Delaney stood beside her. His mind was never stable. They broke him when they made him perfect. Ava turned to her. Undo it. I can't, Delaney said. But maybe he can choose. Ava knelt in front of him. You're not a weapon, she whispered. You're not a machine. You're human, remember? Omega looked at her. And for the first time he wept. Delaney gasped. I never saw him cry. Not once. Ava placed her hand on his. You can fight it. Behind them, more alarms screamed. Cade's voice echoed through the intercom. Target Torres has been located. Engage, lethal force. Delaney stared at the speaker. Cade gave the order. Ava stood. You can still stand with us. Delaney looked torn. Then she grabbed Ava's radio. Cass, this is Delaney. I'm sending you Omega's data files. And Cade's private plans. You'll need them. Cass's voice crackled through. Copy. We're standing by. Ava looked at Delaney. You're helping. Delaney nodded. Maybe I can't be saved, but I can do one thing right. A blast shook the building. Guards breached the floor. Ava turned. Reed, can you move? Omega stood slowly. Yes, he said. Delaney tossed Ava a keycard. South tunnel. It's unguarded. Go now. Ava looked back one last time. Come with us. Delaney shook her head. I'll hold them off. This time it's my turn to bleed. For something better. The doors opened. Ava and Omega ran. Behind them. Gunfire started. Delaney's scream echoed through the halls, but they didn't stop. Not now. They ran into the night, toward freedom, toward the next war. Ava didn't speak for the first hour. The tunnel was long, damp, and smelled like rust and oil. Omega walked beside her, silent too, his breathing steady but strange mechanical, almost like something between human and machine. Snow drifted in from the exit ahead. The storm outside was growing, but the real storm had already begun. Behind them, Delaney was gone. Cade's army had found her, and Ava didn't know if she had lived through it. The last thing she saw was Delaney turning to face the soldiers, her weapon raised. And then the tunnel door slammed shut. Cass's voice came through the radio at last. We tracked your signal. You're 2 miles east of Grid 7. We'll intercept you at Black Creek Bridge. Ava paused. Is it safe? Not really, Cass replied. But it's all we've got. Rusk and Nico are with me. We'll meet you there. Ava looked at Omega. Can you walk that far? He didn't answer, just kept moving. His eyes seemed different now. Less wild, less broken, but not normal either. At Black Creek Bridge, the wind howled. The small team waited behind the broken walls of an old checkpoint. Nico paced nervously. Rusk had his rifle ready. Cass scanned the road with binoculars. They're late, she muttered. Or dead, Rusk said flatly. Don't say that, Nico snapped. But even he sounded unsure. Suddenly, a figure appeared through the snow. Then another. Ava stepped into view, her jacket torn, face pale but focused. Omega followed, taller, shoulders hunched. Cass ran to them. You made it, she hugged Ava tightly. You look like hell. Feels worse, Ava replied. Where's Delaney? Nico asked. Ava just shook her head. She didn't come, Rusk grunted. Knew she wouldn't. Omega looked at them, his voice low. I remember some of you. They all froze. Rusk pointed his rifle slightly higher. He speaks. Ava nodded. He's coming back. Slowly, Cass stepped closer. Omega, do you know your real name? He blinked. Reed Lorne. Nico gasped. I knew a Reed at base school. He was quiet, smart, always top of the class. Omega looked at him. You were the kid who stole protein bars from the mess hall? Nico's jaw dropped. Holy, you actually remember that? Ava smiled faintly. He's in there, somewhere. Suddenly, a drone buzzed overhead. Cass cursed. They found us. Rusk fired and hit it, but it was too late. They've got our location, Cass said. We need to move. Where? Ava asked. North, Cass replied. There's an old train route. If we catch it, we can cross the border into the free sector. It's unguarded. For now, let's go, Ava said. Omega walked beside her again. They hiked through the forest for 2 hours. The snow deepened, the cold bit through their clothes. Reed occasionally stumbled, his systems glitching, but he kept going. Ava noticed how he stared at trees, birds, even the wind, like he was trying to remember what being alive felt like. She stopped once and whispered, Do you feel anything? He looked at her, confused. I don't know. Sometimes. Mostly shadows. By the time they reached the train line, night had fallen. The tracks stretched endlessly. But in the distance, they heard a rumble. It's coming, Cass said. Get ready. They crouched by the side, hiding in the darkness. The train was an old freight model used now to smuggle goods across military borders. Cass waved a green light. A small door opened as it slowed down. They climbed in quickly. Inside, it was dark, cold, and full of crates. They shut the door and sat in silence. For the first time in days, they rested. Ava leaned against a wall and closed her eyes. Reed sat across from her. You're tired, he said. We all are, Ava replied. Even machines, he asked. She opened her eyes. Especially machines that are learning to be human again. Hours passed. In the dim light, Reed spoke more. I remember colors now. Red was the first, and then blue. What's your favorite? Nico asked, trying to lighten the mood. Green, Reed said. Like the fields we trained in. Ava smiled softly. We used to call it the Meadow of Scars. Because we bled there, Reed said. A lot? Rusk grunted. Still better than the desert zone. The train jerked. Cass stood up. We're close. She looked out the slot. There's a border check ahead. Ava stood beside her. Can we get through? If no one's guarding it, yes. But just as she said it, they heard shouting and gunfire. The train screeched to a stop. Ava grabbed her gun. Everyone moved. They leaped out the side door and ran into the woods. Spotlights cut through the trees. Soldiers yelled. Drones flew overhead. They followed us. Cass screamed. Ava looked at Reed. Can you run? He nodded once. They sprinted through the forest. Branches scratched their faces. Bullets cracked through the air. Rusk fired back. Go. I'll slow them down. No, Nico shouted. We stick together. But Rusk shoved him forward. Run, damn it. They kept moving. Then Ava tripped. A sharp cry escaped her lips. She looked down. Her leg was bleeding badly. Red turned back. Leave me, she said. No, he replied. He lifted her easily, carrying her like she weighed nothing. You're not a machine, she said weakly. No, he agreed, but I'm not done trying. They reached a small cliff. Below was a frozen river. Cass looked back. They're right behind us. Ava looked at Reed. Jump. We have no choice. One by one, they leaped. The ice cracked as they hit it, but held. Barely. They scrambled to the other side and disappeared into the trees. 2 hours later, they reached a cave. Cass lit a fire. Ava's leg was bandaged. Reed sat beside her. You saved me, she whispered. I owed you, he replied. We're even now. No, Ava said. We're just getting started. Cass checked her tablet. Bad news. Cade just declared Ava an international traitor. They've labeled you a terrorist and offered 10 million credits for your capture. Ava laughed bitterly. I'm famous now. More than that, Cass said. You're a symbol, and Cade knows it. Ava looked at the flames. Then let's give him something real to fear. Reed's voice was soft. I can get into Cade's system. Delaney left access codes. If we find a secure base, I can shut down his main servers. How long? Ava asked. 2 days. But I need power. A lot of it. Nico grinned. I know just the place. My uncle runs a hydro plant in the valley. He owes me a favor. That's our next stop, Ava said. They rested that night. For once, without fear, Ava watched the stars. Reed sat next to her. Do you think I can be whole again? He asked. Ava looked at him. I don't know, but I believe in trying. He smiled a real smile. Then I'll try. But far away, Cade watched a screen. His advisor spoke softly. She's still alive, and Omega is with her. Cade's eyes narrowed. Then we end it now. Release the ghost units. Sir, you heard me. Send in the ones we buried. If she wants ghosts, give her the worst of them. The advisor hesitated. They weren't stable. Even when we froze them, Cade's voice was ice. Neither is she. Let them kill each other. In the cave, the wind shifted. Ava opened her eyes. Something was wrong. Too quiet. Too cold. A shadow moved outside. Then another. Reed stood. They're here, who Ava whispered. His voice was flat. The ones like me, but worse. The cave shook down. The nightmare began. The cave walls trembled as snow fell from the ceiling in soft clouds. Ava grabbed her weapon and looked at Reed. His face had gone pale, his pupils glowing faintly. What do you mean they're like you? She asked. What are they? Reed didn't look away from the mouth of the cave. They were part of the first Omega trials. Before me, failed experiments. We called them the ghost units. They don't speak, they don't stop, they only kill. Rusk swore under his breath. And Cade just sent them. That means he's scared. Cass whispered. Scared enough to send monsters. Outside, they heard scraping metal. No footsteps, no voices. Just the sound of claws dragging across rock. Nico backed up. We can't fight those things. Not in here. Then we move, Ava said. Now, she helped Reed lift the supplies. Her legs still hurt, but she didn't care. They track movement, Reed said. We need to split. I'll lead them west. You go east, to the hydro plant. Ava's eyes widened. No, I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice, Reed said. They'll follow me. I'm still one of them, at least to them. Rusk looked at Ava. He's right. If they sense him, they'll hunt him first. Then we buy him time, Ava said. We distract them just long enough. Reed walked out into the snow alone. The others scattered east through the trees, staying low. Ava's heart pounded. She watched Reed's back disappear into the mist. Come back, she whispered. Come back. Reed didn't speak as he moved through the storm. The wind howled, but the sounds behind him were louder, faster than human, colder than wolves. The ghost units. They weren't alive, not fully. Biomechanical bodies with exposed wires, metal joints, synthetic organs. They had no names, only numbers. And all of them had one directive. Eliminate the first one appeared behind him, crawling across the trees like an insect, its head tilted as it recognized him. Subject Omega Prime, it said, voice broken and digital. Directive. Destroy. Reed turned and ran, his legs powered by the same tech. He moved fast, but they were faster. 3 more dropped from the trees, sprinting toward him. He ducked, rolled, fired a shot. One went down, limbs twitching, but the others kept coming. No pain, no fear, no mercy. Meanwhile, Ava and her group reached the edge of the valley. The hydro plant stood like a silent beast, trusted, forgotten, but still running. This is it, Nico said. The inside is powered by old turbines. Lots of energy. It's what Reed needs. Cass kicked the door in. Let's move fast. They went inside. Rusk and Cass began wiring connections to the core. Nico guided them to the basement where the power could be tapped safely. Ava stood by the entrance, watching the tree line, waiting. Cass's voice echoed from below. We're almost ready, but we can't start until Reed's back. His neural core is the key. Then we hold, Ava said. We don't leave him behind, Rusk grunted. He's either coming or he's dead. Then we don't leave until we know which, Ava snapped. Back in the forest, Reed was bleeding, not from wounds but from cracks in his own body. His shoulder sparked. His left hand trembled uncontrollably. But still, he fought. Another ghost unit lunged. He slammed it into a tree. Another pinned him to the ground. Screeching, Reed reached for the back of its skull, found the fail-safe port, and jammed a shard of metal into it. The machine screamed and fell still. Reed lay on the snow, gasping. His vision flickered. System failing. A voice said inside him, "Reboot required." But there was no time. He forced himself up and stumbled toward the dam. The snow had stopped. The sky was turning gray-blue. Dawn was coming, but he didn't know if he'd live to see it. Inside the plant, Ava saw something move. "He's coming," she shouted. Nico opened the door, and Reed fell inside, blood and sparks dripping from his frame. "He's burning up," Cass said, rushing forward. "Lay him on the grid." They pulled him to the central platform and connected the wires. Initiating sync, Cass said. Now we wait. Reed's body jerked as electricity surged through him. His eyes glowed bright white. Ava watched helplessly. Come on, you said you'd try. Then he screamed. Not mechanical, human. His body convulsed. Smoke rose from his chest. But then stillness, his eyes opened. Clear, steady, system. Rebuta, he said softly. All protocols restored. Ava stepped back. Are you? You. Reed stood slowly. More than I was. I remember everything now, and I know how to shut Cade down. They moved fast. The plan was simply use the hydroplant's core to create a one-time pulse that would crash Cade's northern surveillance grid, that would allow them to sneak into Sector Command unnoticed. But they needed one last thing, a beacon transmitter, stored at the Black Site, the most dangerous base in Cade's control. A place where Ava once served. I know that place, she said. I trained there. I bled there. I can get us in. It's suicide, Rusk warned. That place eats rebels alive. Not rebels, Ava said, but maybe a ghost. She looked at Reed. That night, they prepared. Ava cleaned her weapon. Nico printed a forged access code. Cass programmed the pulse trigger. Rusk packed explosives. And Reed sat alone in the dark, remembering. He saw images in his mind, Cade's face. The experiments, the cries of other failed units. The moment he chose to disobey, the moment he became more than a machine. Ava joined him. Are you scared? He didn't look at her. I don't think I feel fear the way you do, but I feel something, a pressure, like everything in me is about to break. She touched his shoulder. That's fear. It means you're human enough to care. Do you trust me? He asked. I do, she said. I trust you more than I have ever trusted anyone in my life. He looked at her. Then I won't fail. They left just before dawn. Snow covered their tracks. The Black Site loomed ahead like a fortress from another world. High walls, electric fences. What? Guards patrolled in silence. Drones buzzed in the sky. They approached from the drainage tunnels beneath. Ava led the way. If we hit the main core and plant the transmitter, we'll have 15 minutes before backup arrives. That's all we need, Cass said. Inside the tunnel, they moved like shadows. Ava guided them through the vents, into the lower levels. The base hadn't changed, still cold, still full of ghosts. They reached the vault door. Ava entered the code. It worked. They stepped into the server room. Lights blinked. Machines hummed. Plant it here, Cass said. Reed walked to the central hub. I'll upload the virus now. Ava stood watch, gun ready, but something felt wrong. Too quiet. Then she heard it. Subject Omega Prime detected. A voice said, Welcome home. The lights went red. Doors slammed shut. Cade's voice came over the speakers. Did you really think I wouldn't see this coming? Ava cursed. It's a trap. Always was, Cade said. But thank you for bringing the virus directly to my server. That saves me time. Reed turned to Ava. We have to finish the upload, even if we don't make it out. I'm not leaving you here, she said. You won't have to. He stepped back, closed his eyes, and connected directly into the server. His body shivered. Sparks flew from his arms. I can hold the door, Rusk shouted, firing at guards swarming in. Nico tossed a grenade. 10 minutes. Cass yelled. Inside the system. Reed fought code with code. Cade's AI defenses attacked him like waves of fire. But Reed was stronger now, smarter, free. He unleashed the virus Delaney left behind. It spread fast. Cade's grid flickered. Sir, we're losing contact with northern sectors. Someone shouted in Cade's command center. Kill the power, Cade ordered. Shut it all down. But it was too late. Reed finished the upload. His eyes dimmed. His legs buckled. It's done, he whispered. Ava caught him. Stay with me. I can't, he said. But I remember who I am now. You're Reed, she said. Crying, you're my friend. You made me human again, he whispered. Then his eyes went dark. Cass screamed. We have to go. They grabbed the transmitter and ran. Alarms blared. Smoke filled the halls. Behind them, the base began. 2 collapsed systems crashing, fire spreading. They reached the exit, climbed the tunnel, and escaped into the snow. Hours later, in a safe house, Ava sat alone, holding Reed's broken transmitter core. Cass came in. We've confirmed it. Cade's grid is down. Half the continent is blind. Ava nodded. And red, gone, Cass said softly. But not for nothing. Ava placed the core on the table. He said he wanted to try, and he did. He won. But across the ocean, inside a hidden chamber, a screen flickered. A heartbeat monitor. A file labeled Omega.Prime.Restoration. And a whisper low and digital rebuilding sequence initiated. Ava had no idea. Reed's story wasn't over yet. The snow outside had stopped falling, but inside the safe house, the silence was heavier than ever. Ava sat on the floor, back against the cold wall, her eyes fixed on Reed's transmitter core. It didn't blink. It didn't hum. Just metal. And silence. Her fingers curled around it like it might still be warm. Cass watched from the other side of the room, but said nothing. No one knew what to say anymore. Nico had been patching up his wounded leg with trembling hands. Rusk sat in the corner, a bandage around his head, half asleep. Victory had never felt so heavy. The world outside had changed. The pulse read had delivered crippled Cade's entire northern system. Satellites had gone blind. Military networks were scrambling. Cade had ordered the execution of several top engineers, desperate to find someone to blame. But the truth was simple. The ghost he created, the one he tried to erase, had just destroyed his throne of control. Still, Ava didn't move. She remembered Reed's last words, the way he looked at her like he was seeing the world for the first time. Like he wasn't just a machine, like he finally knew what it meant to care. She had watched 100 people die in this war, but this loss, this silence felt deeper. It cut through every layer of steel she had built around her heart. Cass finally spoke. "We need to move south. Cade's counterattack will come within a day. We have to find a new shelter." Ava didn't respond. Nico looked at her. "You okay?" "No," she said quietly. "But I will be." Rusk stood slowly. "If we're doing this, we're doing it now. No signals, no trackers. Move dark." They left the safe house behind and disappeared into the trees once again. But what they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that somewhere far beneath the surface, beneath Cade's primary facility, in a vault deeper than any prison, something stirred. Inside the black chamber, machines hummed gently. A tank filled with dark liquid glowed faint blue, and in it, a body floated human-shaped. Cables pierced into its spine, chest, and skull. A screen blinked quietly beside it. "Reconstruction 73%. Complete. Subject Omega Prime remains unstable," a voice said. Cade stood before the tank. Arms behind his back, he's still in there. His core resisted termination. The virus deleted his loyalty protocols, but his neural thread reconnected automatically. He's not, fully gone. Cade smiled, faintly. "Then we rebuild him, from the inside. Strip away the soul, leave only the weapon." "Yes, sir," the technician replied. "But it will take time." Cade stepped closer. "Give him a new memory, one that shows her betraying him. I want his heart to burn with it. And when he wakes, he won't be red," Cade said. "He'll be mine again." Meanwhile, Ava and her team reached the southern hills, an area they once thought abandoned. But now, there were signs of life. Smoke from hidden fires, crates marked with old rebel symbols. Someone was still here. Cass raised her rifle. "Stay sharp." But before they could move, a voice called from behind the rocks. "Identify yourselves." A group of armed rebels stepped out, eyes locked on Ava, the leader. A tall woman with gray braids and a mechanical hand lowered her gun slowly. "Ava Monroe." Ava froze. "Do I know you? You knew my brother, Sergeant Malik? He died in the East Blockade 5 years ago. Said you saved his unit when no one else would." Ava lowered her weapon. "He was brave. We all were." The woman nodded. "Then you're welcome here." They were taken inside a hidden base dug into the hills, lined with old tech, powered by solar banks, dozens of rebel families, fighters, children. It wasn't just a hideout. It was a new beginning. Ava looked around. "How long have you been building this?" "Since Cade's drones wiped out our last home, we've been quiet, waiting, watching. But when the sky went black last night, we knew something had happened." Cass stepped forward. "That was us," or ... that was red. The room fell silent. The older woman bowed her head. "Then you brought us hope." Ava didn't smile. "Hope cost us everything." They rested that night. The first real rest in weeks. Ava stood on the roof of the bunker, watching the stars. For the first time, she could see them clearly. No satellites, no surveillance drones, no lights. Just silence. And somewhere in that silence, she whispered his name. But in the lab, Reed's eyes flicked open. The fluid drained slowly from the tank. Machines clicked. Cade watched from the glass window above, his hands trembling slightly with excitement. "Wake up, soldier," he whispered. "Your new orders await." The door hissed open, and Reed stepped out, dripping, eyes glowing faint. "Blue, who am I?" he asked. "You are my weapon," Cade said. "You were betrayed, forgotten. The one person you trusted left you behind." A screen lit up with a doctored memory. Ava running as Reed collapsed, a false clip of her ordering. The door closed. Reed watched silently. The pain in his eyes wasn't just programming, it was something deeper. "She said she'd stay," he whispered. "She lied." "Yes," Cade said. "And now, you belong to me again." Back in the hills, Ava had begun training the new recruits, kids barely 16, old rebels with rusted rifles. Cass worked on restoring radio contact with southern sectors. Rusk taught basic defense. Nico rebuilt a satellite dish using parts from a broken drone. Slowly, the movement was forming again. But Ava's heart was still back in the snow. One evening, she found a quiet moment by the river that ran near the base. She sat with her feet in the water, watching the current. That's when she heard the soft crunch of leaves. A child stood nearby, no older than 7. "Are you the soldier who broke Cade's sky?" the boy asked. Ava smiled faintly. "I didn't. My friend did." "Is he here?" the boy asked. "No," Ava said softly. "He's gone." The boy sat beside her. "My papa said sometimes people come back. Not how you knew them, but they come back anyway." Ava looked down at the water. "I hope if he does, he remembers who he really is." She didn't know how close the truth was. Reed was back, but not as the man she loved. He wore black now, moved like a ghost. A squad of Cade's elites followed him, but he didn't need them. He was faster, smarter, stronger. They called him Omega again. And this time, his mission was simple. Find Ava Monroe. Eliminate her. His mind was filled with false images, carefully edited memories, of betrayal, of her smile turning cold, of her walking away. He didn't question them. Not yet. But inside, something still flickered. A memory Cade couldn't erase. Her voice saying, "You're more than a weapon." Reed blinked it away. Ava was marked and he was coming 2 nights later. Rusk burst into the main cabin, face pale. "We've got incoming drones," Cass asked. "Worse?" he said. "Omega unit? 1 survivor." Ava froze. "Reed, can't confirm. But it's coming fast. Alone. No signals, no mistakes." Ava grabbed her rifle. "Sound the alarm. Evacuate the civilians. Get ready." The night lit up with red warnings. The rebels scrambled. Ava stood at the front gate, breathing hard, rifle in hand, and then she saw him walking calmly out of the trees, eyes glowing. No expression. It was him but not. He stopped 20 feet away, raised his head, looked at her. "Ava Monroe," he said, coldly, "you are marked for termination." Ava stepped forward slowly. "Reed, it's me." "You abandoned me," he said. "No, you saved us. You gave everything." "Lies," he said. "I saw it. You left me. You let me die." "I held you," she said, tears welling. "I never left." He hesitated. 1 second, 2. His finger twitched on the trigger, but Ava didn't raise her gun. "I don't know what they did to you," she said. "I don't know what they took, but I know who you are. You're the man who risked everything to protect people who were afraid of you. You're the one who looked at a broken world and said, 'I'll try anyway.' You're Reed and I still believe in you." His gun dropped slightly. "I remember snow," he whispered. "Yes," Ava said, stepping closer. "You hated the cold. You said it made you feel more human." He blinked. His hand trembled. And then behind him a Cade soldier shouted, "Target compromised." A shot rang out. Ava screamed. Reed turned too late. A bullet struck his shoulder. He spun, knocked the shooter down, crushed his helmet. Then he looked at Ava again. "I remember," he whispered. And collapsed. Blood soaked the snow, and this time Ava didn't let go. She held him as the others rushed in. "He's alive," Nico said, barely, "but we can save him." Cass looked at Ava. "You brought him back." "No," Ava said, tears falling onto his face. "He never really left." But as she looked into his eyes, she knew the fight wasn't over. Cade had one more move left, and the end was coming. They worked through the night. Blood soaked Ava's hands, but she didn't care. Reed lay on the metal table, pale, shaking, unconscious but breathing. Nico's voice was calm, but his fingers were moving faster than ever. "His neural system is burned. We need to bypass the damaged link." Cass stood over him with the field medkit open, handing tools with trembling hands. "Is he going to make it?" "I don't know," Nico replied. "Cade's done something to him. His spine is fused with synthetic layers I've never seen. It's like they rebuilt him from the inside out." Ava didn't leave his side. Even when they had to shut the power down to reset his vitals, even when he flatlined for 11 seconds, she stayed, holding his hand, whispering things no machine could ever fake. "You're still in there. I know you are. I believe in you." And then, at dawn, he opened his eyes. At first, they were cold, blue, empty. But then, something flickered. His gaze moved to her. His hand twitched. "Ava," he whispered, "you stayed." She nodded, tears falling freely. "I told you, always." The room was silent. Then Reed tried to sit up, but winced. Nico gently pushed him down. "Take it slow. You've been through hell. You're lucky to be alive." Reed looked around. "Where are we?" "Southern Rebel Outpost," Cass said. "You came here to kill us? But you didn't." He closed his eyes. "I remember the mission. I remember Cade's voice, but I also remember your voice, Ava, like a light breaking through the static." She squeezed his hand. "That's all we need. Just enough to fight back." But outside, things were not quiet. While Ava's team was trying to rebuild hope, Cade was preparing to burn it to the ground. In the capital, Cade stood before his war council, a large hologram showing the southern hills. "She's gathered survivors. They're rebuilding." The Omega asset failed to complete the task. "He's corrupted," a general asked. "What are your orders, sir?" Cade's voice was sharp. "Total annihilation. Launch the Sunfall bomb." Gasps filled the room. One of the scientists stepped forward, but Sunfall is unstable. "If it detonates near fault lines, then let the ground crack," Cade snapped. "Let the sky burn. I want no trace. Of her, of any of them." "What about our own satellites?" "They'll be gone anyway, once the EMP hits. And the people?" "They're not people," Cade said coldly. "They're loose ends." And so, the countdown began. 1. Final strike. A bomb the world had only whispered about, enough to erase mountains. And it was headed for Ava. Back at the outpost. Reed had begun to walk again. Slowly, stiffly, but each step stronger than the last. His voice returned to its calm tone. But, now, there was something new in it, something human. Ava stood with him on the ridge, watching the children play below. "I don't know who I am anymore," he said. You're who you choose to be, Ava replied, not who they made you to be. I feel guilt, he whispered, for the things I did when I was under Cade's control, the people I hurt. That means you're not a weapon anymore, she said. You're a man. He looked at her, and if I become a danger again, she took his hand, then I'll remind you, as many times as it takes. That night, Nico ran into the command room, holding a blinking screen. We've got a problem. Massive energy surge coming, from the north trajectory right toward us. Cass looked over. Missile? Not just a missile, it's sunfall. The room went silent. Ava stared at the screen. We don't have defenses strong enough to stop that. No, Nico said. But I might be able to intercept it mid-air. Redirect it, if I had the right code. Reed stepped forward. I have Cade's override code. It's still embedded in my core. Nico hesitated. We'd have to get close. Too close. Whoever uploads that code won't make it out. Everyone turned toward Reed. I'll do it, he said. Ava's heart stopped. No. This is why I'm still alive, he said. This is why Cade rebuilt me. But I won't let him finish his plan. I'll end it here. You don't have to die, she said, grabbing his arms. Reed looked into her eyes. I've already died once. This time, I get to choose what for. No, she said again. Softer this time. Not like this. He cupped her cheek gently. You gave me something I never had choice. Hope, love, and now I give you something back. He kissed her forehead, then turned and walked out. The next hours were a blur. Nico modified a stealth pod to intercept the sunfall in midair. Cass uploaded Reed's code into a hardware spike. Ava sat in silence. Her chest felt hollow. Time was running out. At 0400 hours, Reed stepped into the pod. Once I breach the missile shell, I'll upload the spike. It should force it to veer off course and self-detonate over the sea. And if it doesn't, Cass asked, then this is goodbye. Ava came to the hangar just before launch. She stood at the edge, arms crossed, eyes full of pain. Reed turned to her. I had a dream, he said. We were in the snow, not running, just standing, quiet, safe. Then make that dream real, she whispered. Come back. He reached out and she held him tight, for the last time. If I don't say it, she said. Just promise you'll fight to return. He nodded. The pod launched into the dark sky. 10 minutes later, alarms blared as the sunfall entered Earth's lower orbit. Reed's voice came over the radio. I see it. Engaging magnetic locks. Heat rising. Shells unstable. I'm breaching now. The radio crackled. Uploading code. Accepted. Redirect in progress. Then silence. Ava stared at the screen. The missile changed course. Cheers erupted, but the pod signal was gone. No trace. Nico shook his head. I'm sorry. Ava turned away and fell to her knees. The sky lit up moments later with a thunder that shook the mountains. The sunfall detonated over the ocean. The shockwave shook the bunker, but they were safe, alive, saved. But Ava didn't feel saved. She felt broken. In the days that followed, Cade was captured. A group of rebel hackers finally breached his fortress. When they found him, he was alone, watching old footage of Ava and Reed. You think this is over? He hissed as they dragged him away. You think peace will last? There will always be another tyrant. But Ava didn't care. She stood over, Reed's name etched into the memorial stone. A hero, a man, a choice. She closed her eyes. You were the one they called a monster. But in the end, you were the one who saved the world. Then, weeks later, something happened. Ava was walking alone, beyond the base. When she heard the sound of crunching snow, she turned slowly. And there, standing in the clearing, battered, bleeding but alive was Red. She ran. He caught her in his arms, and for the first time in her life, Ava cried not from grief, but from joy. He whispered in her ear, I kept my promise. She held him tighter. You came home? He nodded. I remembered the snow. And together they walked back. Two souls who had once been broken, but now finally whole, and no one could take that from them again.